atomic age was born. There is no denying that since that moment, the shadow of the atom bomb has been across all our lives. All men of goodwill earnestly hope that a realistic control of atomic weapons can and will be achieved. Meanwhile, good sense requires that all of us prepare for any eventuality. But wisdom demands, too, that we take time to understand this force. Because here, in fact, is the answer to a dream as old as man himself, a giant of limitless power at man's command. And where was it science found that giant? In the atom, a particle so infinitely small that it takes over 100 billion atoms to make up the head of a pin. Just as other millions and quadrillions of atoms are the tiny building blocks which make up everything in the world. Ships, and shoes, and sealing wax, and cabbages and kings. Although no one has ever seen an atom, scientists have learned a great deal about how they behave, and there are widely accepted theories as to what they're like.
There is a lie that has been told for generations. It is whispered by teachers, preached by parents, and relentlessly commodified by the modern self-improvement industry. It is the lie of moral failure. When a person sits at their desk, staring at a blank screen, feeling an invisible weight pressing down on their chest, preventing them from moving, preventing them from starting, preventing them from doing the very thing they know they need to do. They have been taught to call that feeling laziness. They have been conditioned to look in the mirror and diagnose themselves with a defect of character. They tell themselves they lack discipline. They tell themselves they are weak. They tell themselves that if they just had more willpower, if they just watched one more motivational video, if they just bought the right planner or downloaded the right app, they would finally be fixed. They carry the guilt of their inaction like a physical weight. They go to sleep hating themselves for the hours they wasted. They wake up terrified that they will waste another day. But here is what is actually happening. These people are not lazy. They are not morally defective. They do not lack character. They are losing a war against the fundamental physics of the universe. And they never had a chance. There is a room somewhere. It belongs to someone who means well. In one corner, things have accumulated without intention. The desk that was supposed to be for work has become a surface for everything that has no other place. The chair stopped being a chair months ago. Papers, clothes, objects, all migrated there through some force that required no effort, no decision, no conscious participation. No one decided to let it happen. It simply happened. And here is the thing that most people never consider. That is not a personal failure. That is physics. If nothing is done to a room, it does not stay the same. It gets worse. Dust accumulates. Objects migrate to wrong places. Order dissolves into disorder. The mess requires no effort. The order requires everything. In 1850, a physicist named Rudolf Clausius discovered something fundamental about the universe. He called it the second law of thermodynamics. The law states the entropy of an isolated system always increases. Entropy is the measure of disorder, chaos, randomness. What Clausius discovered is that the universe has a direction, and that direction is decay. Everything moves from order to chaos, from structure to dissolution, from hot to cold, from life to death. Not because of bad luck, not because of poor planning, because of mathematics. Here is what this looks like in practice. A cup of hot coffee sits on a table in a cold room. Nothing needs to be done to make the coffee cold. No spell needs to be cast. No effort needs to be exerted. All that is required is time. The heat will naturally dissipate into the air. the molecules will spread out. The energy will scatter. Eventually, the coffee and the room will be the same temperature. Equilibrium, maximum entropy. Now imagine trying to reverse that process. Imagine trying to make the coffee hot again without using a microwave, a stove, or any external energy source. It cannot be done. The universe will not allow the heat from the room to spontaneously gather itself back into the cup. That would be order emerging from chaos. That would be entropy decreasing. To make the coffee hot again, new energy must be introduced from the outside. Fuel must be burned. Friction must be created. The natural flow of reality must be fought. This is not just a rule for coffee. This is the rule for everything. Imagine a house in the middle of a forest. The roof is solid, the walls are straight, the paint is fresh, everything is in its right place. Now imagine no one lives there. No one maintains it. No one puts energy into keeping it ordered. What happens? Does the house become more beautiful? Does it build a new wing? Does it paint its own walls? No. The roof caves in. The wood rots. The metal rusts. The vines tear through the floorboards. The windows shatter. The elements break it down, piece by piece, until the house is indistinguishable from the dirt it was built upon. The universe looks at the ordered structure and says, "This requires too much energy to maintain. Let it fall. Let it return to dust." Every project that gets started, every relationship that gets built, every skill that gets developed, every dream that gets pursued, the universe is waiting for the maintenance to stop so it can pull everything back into chaos. In 1877, an Austrian physicist named Ludwig Boltzmann figured out why this happens. He discovered that entropy is not just about messiness, it is about probability. He wrote an equation, S equals K log W, simple looking, almost innocent. But this equation contains one of the darkest truths about existence. What Boltzmann proved is that there are astronomically more ways for things to be disordered than ordered. Think about a puzzle, 1,000 pieces. When the box is opened, the pieces are scattered. That is high entropy. There is only one exact arrangement that creates the picture on the cover. That is low entropy, perfect order. But there are billions of ways for those pieces to be wrong, trillions of arrangements that create nothing but chaos. If the box is shaken, the odds of the pieces spontaneously falling into the perfect picture are so small that the number has more zeros than there are atoms in the observable universe. The universe favors the mess because there are infinitely more ways to be messy than to be ordered. A dream life is the completed puzzle, one specific arrangement out of infinite chaos. The scrolling, the procrastination, the half-finished projects, that is statistically normal. That is the most probable outcome. When someone fails to write the book, they are not being a bad person. They are aligning with the mathematical probability of the cosmos. The brain makes this worse. That 3-pound mass of fat and water inside the skull was shaped by millions of years of evolution. And for most of that time, starvation was the default. Calories were scarce. Energy was precious. If ancestors wasted energy on things that did not immediately help them survive, running around building things they did not need, burning calories on abstract pursuits instead of hunting and gathering, they died. They were removed from the gene pool. The brain evolved one prime directive: conserve energy at all costs. Do not move unless necessary. Seek the highest reward for the lowest effort. Rest whenever possible. This served ancestors well. it kept them alive. But the modern world is different. People today live in environments of total abundance. Food can be ordered with a tap on a glass screen. Shelter is a temperature-controlled box. The most dangerous thing in most environments is the refrigerator. But the brain does not know this. The brain still thinks it is one bad winter away from starvation. So when it is told, sit down and work on this project for 3 hours, go to the gym and lift heavy things until the muscles tear, focus on something difficult and abstract, it perceives this as a threat. It sounds the alarm. It releases stress hormones. It creates a feeling of dread, anxiety, profound exhaustion before anything has even begun. The brain is trying to save a life by stopping precious energy from being wasted on something that does not yield immediate food or immediate safety. It does not understand that the project could change the future. It does not understand that the gym could extend life. It does not understand long-term investment. It only understands this costs calories. This is dangerous. Stop. And then there is the trap that was built specifically for this vulnerability. The engineers in Silicon Valley understand human biology better than most humans do. They have spent billions of dollars and millions of hours studying exactly how the brain works. And they have designed platforms specifically to exploit its weaknesses. Social media is a thermodynamic weapon. It provides a constant, endless stream of novelty, outrage, entertainment. Microdoses of dopamine delivered directly to reward circuits. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation. It tells the brain, this is good, do this again. But scrolling requires zero effort, 0 calories, 0 expenditure. It is the perfect biological hack, the neurochemical reward of accomplishment without accomplishing anything, the satisfaction of hunting without leaving the cave, the feeling of doing something while doing nothing at all. Think about what scrolling actually is. A person lies in the lowest energy position possible, horizontal, passive, still. A thumb moves a few millimeters every few seconds. That is the only effort required. And in exchange, the brain receives a continuous stream of novel stimuli. New faces, new outrage, new jokes, new information. Each one triggers a tiny spike of dopamine. Each one tells the ancient brain, valuable information is being gathered about the environment. Threats and opportunities are being learned about. This is productive. But it is not productive. It is farming. The platforms are designed to maximize engagement. Engagement means time spent. Time spent means revenue. Attention is the product being sold. Teams of PhD psychologists, neuroscientists, and behavioral economists work around the clock to make these apps more addictive. They /B test every button color, every notification sound, every algorithmic recommendation. They optimize for one thing, keeping people scrolling. There is something almost admirable about the precision of this manipulation. These companies have achieved what no empire, no religion, no ideology ever could. The voluntary surrender of billions of human hours every single day to an activity that produces nothing and benefits no one except the shareholders. The average person now spends more time looking at a phone than sleeping, more time scrolling than talking to family, more time consuming algorithmic content than creating anything at all. And the cruelest part is that everyone knows this. People know they are being manipulated. They know the time is being stolen. They know they will feel worse after 2 hours of scrolling than they did before. And they do it anyway. Because the trap was not designed by amateurs. It was designed by the most well-funded, data-rich, psychologically sophisticated manipulation apparatus in human history. It was designed to exploit the exact energy conservation mechanisms the brain evolved over millions of years. No one is weak for falling into this trap. The trap was engineered specifically to capture minds exactly like theirs. When someone falls into the scroll, losing hours staring at a glowing rectangle, they are experiencing what might be called human heat death, maximum entropy, potential energy dissipating into the void, a passive observer of simulated life instead of an active creator in the real one, the coffee cooling down, the house rotting, entropy winning without a fight. The phone is not a tool, it is a siphon. It drains the energy that could have been used to create order and disperses it into the algorithmic void. And the worst part is that it feels good. The dopamine makes it feel like something valuable is happening. That is the trap within the trap. People do not even know they are losing. The self-help industry sells a lie to make this worse. It says that if someone just finds their passion, if they just align their purpose, if they just visualize their success hard enough, the work will become easy. It sells the fantasy of the flow state, a magical realm where effort vanishes and creation pours out like water. It says that if someone is struggling, it means they have not found their true calling yet, that the right work should feel effortless, that friction is a sign of the wrong path. This is poison. Waiting for motivation is waiting for a violation of the laws of physics. It is waiting for cold coffee to spontaneously boil itself. It is waiting for a scattered puzzle to assemble without being touched.
Now, I've actually always found something to be very true, which is most people don't get those experiences because they never ask. I've never found anybody that didn't want to help me if I asked them for help. I always call them up. I called up, this will date me, but I called up Bill Hewlett when I was 12 years old, and he lived in Palo Alto. His number was still in the phone book. And he answered the phone himself. He said, yes? He said, hi, I'm Steve Jobs. I'm 12 years old. I'm a student in high school, and I want to build a frequency counter. And I was wondering if you had any spare parts I could have. And he laughed, and he gave me the spare parts to build this frequency counter, and he gave me a job that summer in Hewlett-Packard, working on the assembly line, putting nuts and bolts together on frequency counters. He got me a job in the place that built them. And I was in heaven. And I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I called. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act. And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn, with people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
Motivation is an emotion. And like all emotions, it is volatile, unpredictable, dependent on sleep, food, weather, and 1,000 variables no one can control. If a life is built on the foundation of motivation, it is built on sand. The flow state exists, occasionally, for brief windows, usually only after hours of forced work. But flow is not the default state of meaningful creation. Friction is the default. Resistance is the default. When someone sits down to write, to build, to create, it is supposed to feel hard. It is supposed to feel unnatural, because they are reversing entropy. They are taking chaos and forcing it into order. They are pumping heat back into the coffee cup. They are rebuilding the rotting house. The universe does not want this to happen. If it feels hard, it is being done right. There is a concept in chemistry called activation energy. Every chemical reaction requires an initial input of energy to begin. A barrier must be overcome before the reaction can proceed. Imagine a pile of dry wood and a puddle of gasoline. They contain massive potential energy, the capacity for fire, heat, light, but they will not ignite on their own. They can sit in a room for 1,000,000 years and nothing will happen. To release the energy, a match must be struck. A spark must be created. The spark requires effort, friction, but once the flame touches the fuel, the reaction begins. The bonds break and reform. The energy releases, and once the fire starts, it sustains itself. The heat from the burning wood provides the activation energy for the rest of the wood to catch. Only the initial spark needed to be provided. The system takes care of the rest. The mind works the same way. The hardest part of any work is the beginning, the transition from rest to motion, the act of opening the laptop, the act of putting on the shoes, the act of starting. The brain looks at the entire mountain of work ahead, the 300-page book, the months of training, the massive project, and calculates the total energy required. It sees an insurmountable wall. It paralyzes with dread. To break the paralysis, the mountain must be ignored. The focus must be only on the spark, not committing to writing a chapter, committing to writing one sentence, not committing to an hour workout, committing to putting on shoes and touching the doorknob, not committing to cleaning the house, committing to throwing away one piece of trash. The barrier must be lowered so far that the primitive brain cannot object. The machine must be tricked, because once motion starts, the state changes. Static friction is overcome. Motion begins. And physics says an object in motion tends to stay in motion. The dopamine that was hiding, because the task seemed too large, is now released in microdoses, because the first micro step was completed. That small reward provides activation energy for the second step and the third. Motivation is not needed to start. Motion generates motivation. Action precedes feeling. The behavior must be forced. The neurochemistry follows. There is something that should be acknowledged about all of this. Knowing the physics does not make it easier. Understanding the thermodynamics does not remove the resistance. Having the vocabulary to describe what is happening does not stop it from happening. People who understand all of this still fail constantly. They still scroll when they should work. They still choose the couch over the desk. They still feel the gravity pulling toward the path of least resistance. There are mornings when someone wakes up with a clear plan. They know exactly what needs to be done. They have the time. They have the tools. They have no excuses. And they still end up 3 hours deep in content about topics they do not care about, watching their day evaporate, feeling the familiar mix of numbness and self-disgust. They know the activation energy trick. They know they just need to start. They know the first 15 seconds are the hardest. And sometimes that knowledge helps. Sometimes the trick works and the momentum carries them forward. But other times, the gravity wins. The resistance is too strong. The couch is too comfortable. The phone is too close, and they surrender. Some days there is creation. The spark is generated. Order is forced out of chaos. Things get finished. It feels like fighting back against the universe and winning. Other days, the entropy wins completely. The work does not get done. The project stalls. The mess grows. The deadline passes. Sleep comes with self-hatred for another wasted day. There is a tendency among people who struggle with this to believe something is uniquely wrong with them, that somewhere out there, Disciplined people exist who do not feel this resistance. People who wake up energized, execute their plans flawlessly, go to sleep satisfied. People who have figured out the secret. They think they are missing something others have. But the truth, after talking to enough people, is that everyone feels this. The successful people feel it. The productive people feel it. The people whose lives look perfect from the outside, they feel it too. The second law does not discriminate. It applies to billionaires and broke artists equally, to geniuses and average minds, to the motivated and the depressed, to the young and the old. Everyone is fighting the same war against the same physics. The difference is not that some people do not feel the resistance. The difference is that some people have stopped expecting the resistance to disappear. They have stopped waiting for motivation to arrive. They have stopped being surprised when the gravity pulls. They just start anyway. Not because they feel like it. Not because it is easy. Because they know that feeling like it comes after starting, not before. That is the only secret, and it is not much of a secret. Start before ready. Start before feeling like it. Start despite the resistance. Everything else is just physics. There is a physicist named Ilya Prigogine who won a Nobel Prize for studying something called dissipative structures. A dissipative structure is a system that maintains order by continuously consuming energy and exporting entropy to its environment. A candle flame is a dissipative structure. It maintains its shape by burning fuel and releasing heat and smoke. A hurricane is a dissipative structure. It maintains its form by feeding on warm water and dispersing energy into the atmosphere. Living things are dissipative structures. They maintain their form, body, mind, identity, by consuming food, water, air, and by exporting entropy, heat, waste, carbon dioxide. The moment energy consumption stops, structure maintenance stops. Death follows. Entropy wins completely and immediately. This is what a person is at the most fundamental level. Not a thing, a process, not a static object, a dynamic pattern that persists only through constant effort. And when exhaustion comes, when it feels like continuing is impossible, what is being felt is the cost of being a dissipative structure. Tiredness exists because structure is tiring. Wearing down happens because the universe never stops pressing. Rest is not weakness. Rest is how fuel is gathered for the next round. There is something about time that makes all of this worse. Time is not neutral. Time is not just a backdrop against which things happen. Time is the dimension along which entropy increases. The reason the past is remembered, but not the future, is because the past had lower entropy than the present. The reason an egg can be scrambled, but not unscrambled, is because of time's arrow, pointing always in the direction of more disorder. When time passing is felt, what is actually being felt is entropy accumulating. Every moment that passes, the universe becomes slightly more disordered. Every second, things fall apart a little more. Every hour, day, year, the chaos grows. This is why wasted time feels so painful. It is not just that something could have been done. It is that while nothing was done, entropy still extracted its price. The universe still moved toward chaos. Ground was lost without even fighting. The clock is not neutral. The clock is entropy's scoreboard, and it never stops. This explains a particular kind of anxiety that haunts certain people. The feeling that time is running out even when there is no deadline. The sense of urgency that has no specific source. The dread that accumulates in the quiet hours. This is not neurosis. This is accurate perception. Time is running out. For everyone. Always. Not because of some external threat, but because of the fundamental structure of reality. Every moment spent not creating order is a moment where disorder increased anyway. Every day that passes is a day closer to the end of the window being the brief, improbable period during which a conscious being exists and can do things. This is why the feeling of wasted years is so devastating. It is not just regret for what could have been. It is the physical reality that those years pushed everything further toward decay. Bodies aged, skills atrophied, options narrowed, possibilities closed. The time cannot be gotten back. The entropy cannot be reversed. What is lost is lost. There are people who discover this too late, who wake up at 50 or 60 having spent decades in drift and suddenly feel the full weight of the physics they were ignoring. The years of scrolling, the decades of path of least resistance, the lifetime of entropy winning by default. And there is nothing to be done about the past. The past is maximum entropy now. It cannot be reorganized. All that can be decided is what happens from now, and even that decision is being made as the clock ticks, as the entropy accumulates, as the universe slides towards silence. There is an urgency built into reality itself, not because of deadlines or social expectations, because of physics. Every moment, someone is not creating order. Disorder is increasing anyway. The house is rotting, whether it is maintained or not. The coffee is cooling, whether it is drunk or not. The clock is ticking, whether anyone acts or not. This can be ignored. Most people do ignore it. They sleepwalk through decades, letting the entropy accumulate, waking up one day to find that everything has fallen apart without them noticing. Or it can be felt as clarity, not panic, not anxiety, clarity. This moment matters. This hour matters. This day matters, because they are the only ones anyone will ever have. Physicists have a term for how everything ends. They call it heat death. Trillions of years from now, the universe will reach maximum entropy. All energy evenly distributed. Nothing hotter or colder than anything else. No gradients. No potential for work. The stars will have burned out long before. The galaxies will have drifted apart into infinite darkness. The black holes will have evaporated into faint radiation. The last atoms will have decayed, and nothing will happen ever again. No light, no heat, no structure, no life, no thought, no memory that any of this ever existed. Just an infinite, uniform, cold darkness, stretching forever in all directions, silent, still, empty. This is not speculation. This is the forecast. The second law extrapolated to its conclusion. Everything that has ever existed, every galaxy, every civilization, every love story, every war, every symphony, every moment of terror and beauty, is a temporary fluctuation on the way to eternal stillness. A brief spark between two infinities of cold. The universe began in a state of low entropy, concentrated, hot, ordered. And since that moment, it has been falling, spreading out, cooling down, dissolving structure, moving inexorably toward the end. Everything that happens is happening on this slope. Every life is lived on this trajectory. Every creation is made against this current. This sounds like nihilism. It sounds like despair. It sounds like a reason to give up, but it is the opposite. If everything is temporary, then everything that exists now is precious. If the universe is destined for stillness, then every moment of motion is a miracle. If entropy always wins in the end, then every victory against it, no matter how small, matters. being here now, in this brief window between the beginning and the end, conscious, capable, alive. That is not meaningless. That is the rarest thing in the universe. There are an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. Each contains hundreds of billions of stars. Most of those stars have planets. The scale is incomprehensible. And yet, as far as anyone can tell, conscious beings capable of creating order are vanishingly rare, possibly unique to this one planet, possibly confined to this one species, possibly limited to this one brief window of cosmic time. If that is true, and it might be, then every person alive is not just a human being. They are one of the only instruments through which the universe can resist itself, one of the only structures capable of taking chaos and making something ordered, one of the only minds that can look at entropy and choose to push back. That is not meaningless. That is the most meaningful thing possible. And what is done with it is the only question that matters. Every time something is created instead of consumed, something is being done that the universe does not want. The universe wants maximum entropy, uniform distribution, no structure, no meaning, no art. And yet, temporary arrangements of atoms that somehow became conscious are taking chaos and forcing it into order, making things that would not exist otherwise. Consider what a book actually is. It is ink arranged in specific patterns on paper, thousands of words in one precise sequence out of infinite possible sequences, chaos compressed into structure. Left alone, the ink would smear, the paper would decay, the patterns would dissolve. But someone, fighting their own entropy, forced the chaos into order, sat at a desk when they did not want to, wrote sentences when every part of their brain was screaming to stop, fought the physics long enough to make something that did not exist before. That is what creation is. Not inspiration, not talent, not flow. It is war, fought one sentence at a time, one brushstroke at a time, one note at a time. Consider what a relationship actually is. It is 2 chaotic systems, 2 humans, each with their own entropy, their own tendencies toward disorder, choosing every day to maintain connection. Relationships do not maintain themselves. They decay like everything else. Communication breaks down, intimacy fades, resentments accumulate, distance grows. To keep a relationship alive requires continuous energy input, conversations that do not feel necessary, compromises that do not feel fair, presence when absence would be easier. That is not romance. That is thermodynamics. Consider what raising a child actually is. It is taking a small human who tends naturally toward chaos, who will eat garbage, run into traffic, break everything they touch, make every wrong choice possible, and slowly, painfully, inputting enough energy to help them develop their own capacity for order. It takes decades. It is exhausting. It never ends. And the universe fights it every step of the way. Consider what a business actually is. It is imposing structure on the chaos of the market, finding customers who would never have found the product on their own, coordinating employees who would drift apart without constant management, maintaining systems that would collapse without constant attention. The moment the energy input stops, the business begins to decay, customers leave, employees disengage, systems break down. The structure dissolves back into the chaos from which it was temporarily extracted. All of creation is like this: business, art, friendship, health, knowledge. Every good thing is a structure that requires constant maintenance against the constant pressure of decay. All of it is improbable. All of it is temporary. All of it will eventually dissolve, but not yet. Whether any of this helps is uncertain. Whether understanding the physics changes anything is uncertain. Maybe this ends and the couch wins anyway. Maybe understanding the equation does not stop the equation from operating. The gravity does not disappear because its name is known. The entropy does not stop because it has been explained. But maybe knowing this lifts something else. Not the weight of the work, that stays, but the weight of the shame. The voice that says something is broken. That laziness is the problem. That successful people have it figured out. That voice is wrong. Nothing is broken. Physics is being fought. And physics is very, very hard to beat. Everyone is struggling. The ones who look like they are not are just better at hiding it. Or they have been fighting long enough that the resistance feels familiar. Or they have found ways to channel the gravity instead of fighting it directly. The war does not end. The coffee keeps cooling. The house keeps decaying. The chaos keeps accumulating. That is not going to change. That is the structure of reality. But within that structure, there is a choice. Every day, every hour, every moment, to create or to consume, to build or to drift, to force order or to let chaos accumulate. The universe does not care which one is chosen. The entropy will increase either way. The heat death will come regardless. The physics is indifferent. But the person choosing is not indifferent. The person choosing has to live with the choice, has to wake up tomorrow having either pushed back or surrendered, has to face the mirror knowing what they did with the day they were given. That is the only choice there is, and no one can make it for anyone else.